All right, good morning, everyone. Snow, my friends, is now spreading into areas where we have not seen much of it this year, including parts of West Virginia, and possibly even North Carolina. We are going to talk all about that today. Additionally, the overall pattern is going to begin shifting, where we will start to see more heavy snow out west and even into places like Utah, where there has not been a lot of snow this year. Well, things are about to change. I do believe there is more snow on the way for them. That snow could also become heavy in parts of British Columbia and Alberta, and there are signs that this snowfall could really increase across this part of North America. It is quite a sight how we are starting to build what is almost a glacier across parts of Canada and the northern United States. We will certainly talk about that today. Let's take a closer look at where the advisories are right now. This is not something we have seen this year yet. New winter weather advisories are now in effect for northern North Carolina and also for Virginia, which does include Richmond. It does not include the Tidewater region down towards Hampton Roads and Norfolk over to Virginia Beach. This snow is going to be back to your west. On the southern side of this system, even into parts of Richmond, there could be some mixing with some freezing rain. However, winter weather advisories are in place here for a couple of inches of snow. This includes Lynchburg, the Hill City, back to Roanoke and Blacksburg. This continues all the way down, though not quite to the Tri-Cities, but once you get across the central parts of the mountains here on the east side, that is where we are going to see the most snow. I would say generally along and east of Interstate 77, though there could be a little bit slipping to the west. Then, as we move up into southern West Virginia, some of this will sneak a little farther to the north. I will show you that on the models in just a moment, but again, the heaviest snow is expected. I believe you need to watch this region right in here for some bands of snow that will try to develop as we head into this afternoon. This is something you do not see every day, my friends. In Winston-Salem, over to Greensboro, and not quite to Raleigh, but Durham could see some wintry precipitation. The fact that we are seeing some flakes is always interesting in the Tar Heel state, though it is not a major event for the mountains here. However, we do have winter weather advisories extending to Asheville all the way down to the South Carolina line. And once you get up on the Cumberland Plateau, up towards Cookeville and over to Crossville, some snow is possible here in central Tennessee. That is east of Nashville and west of Knoxville. If you are heading west on Interstate 40, you do go up in elevation there. Now, let's head west. There are some winter weather advisories for the snow that is falling at this moment from Tulsa to Oklahoma City and back to Amarillo. This snow is moving east. The system that is producing this snow is what will be pushing that snowfall farther to the east into the Virginia and North Carolina region and into West Virginia as well. Some lake effect snow is still going too. We have some winter weather advisories in place for that. We even have winter storm warnings going up here near Sault Ste. Marie as we get that wind fetch off of Lake Superior. But let's look to the north and west. Look at this. It is interesting to see the large winter storm watches being issued across western Montana and Idaho up into this region. Some areas could see 2 to 3 feet of snow over the coming week or so. It is truly interesting to see this as well. We have some significant snow falling not just here, but also farther to the south along the Idaho-Montana border. We are talking about getting up near the national park where some very heavy snow is falling. And what is notable is where we have not seen much snow this year. How about that? Winter storm watches are out for the Wasatch Range east of Salt Lake City, where some heavy snow is expected in the mountains. Some areas could see a foot or so. And then once you get into Colorado, snow is expected there. You will have to get up fairly high in elevation before you get the snow if you are headed east on Interstate 40. That is right. The valley floor is not looking too bad. From Grand Junction up to Glenwood Springs, it is manageable. But the mountains around it and the mountainous regions here are where we are going to start to get into that snow. And then, of course, if you are on Interstate 70, eventually you get up in elevation near Vail, and as you cross the Continental Divide, you are going to run into that snow, and it could be heavy at times. And that stretches north and south, again, all along these regions that typically see the snow. That is correct. So winter storm watches are out across this region, and then, there is going to be a lot of snow, I believe, after this. Let's talk about it. Let me show you where it is headed. This is the European model showing that snow moving across the southern United States and into Texas today. We are talking about the panhandle of Texas into Oklahoma. That activity will settle down as we head into this afternoon, and then not much will be happening once we get into the afternoon hours. Again, there could be a little bit of snow, The European model does not show much of it here in parts of the Cumberland Plateau, but we see some rain showers across the south. A little bit of light snow is moving through parts of the prairies here. This is a very weak system that is going to bring some light snow to cities like Winnipeg and east into Ontario. Then, heavier snow is starting to pick up across the west. We are talking about into Idaho and Montana. That snow could get very heavy, and we are seeing that snow picking up here across Virginia. We will talk about that more in just a second. As this system drops east, that snow could start to get heavy. A cold Arctic air mass is dropping south, creating a bit of an upslope flow. This means that snow could be heavy. And then, more Pacific moisture is intersecting with that air. So, now we have some good convergence of the air here. That means we will get good uplift, and I believe that means you are going to see precipitation. It is going to snow. It is going to snow pretty hard, too. That system drops into the Rockies again, and farther south into the Wasatch. And we are watching this Alberta Clipper. We are going to give them names this year. We are going to call this one by its name. This one is coming from Alberta. It is dropping south. It is not a Saskatchewan Screamer or a Manitoba Mauler. This is an Alberta Clipper. It is going to drop that snow from South Dakota into Iowa and the southern parts of Minnesota. And, it starts to weaken as it moves towards Chicago. I still think there is a chance for some snow here over the weekend in northern Illinois and northern Indiana, but it does seem to fall apart as it drops to the south. So this may not be the classic Clipper that drops all the way in and then curves either north and east. It really just seems to die on the vine, if you will. Cold high pressure is building into the Great Lakes. We are bringing a lot of moisture into the Pacific Northwest. And another Clipper system is dropping south. I would call this an Alberta Clipper as well. It is going to be a little bit farther to the north, putting that snow into Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and the southern parts of Ontario. We are going to get some snow here, and it is going to be cold too, with temperatures well below freezing. This system has a chance of putting a little bit of snow into the northeast. It is a Clipper system, not a huge storm. And behind it, another system is bringing more snow. We are on a repeating cycle with this. There is another one after that, and perhaps a change toward the middle of the month. This is where it gets quite interesting. Some of the models have shown huge variables with outcomes that are just all over the place. We will get into that later as we get closer to that time. In fact, a long-range outlook will be coming out, likely sometime over the next couple of days. So, please be sure to subscribe and come back if that interests you as we talk about what is left of the season and some of the long-range signals we are seeing. This is a look at the GFS model. Now, it is different. The GFS has just performed, in my opinion, so poorly lately, but I am going to show it to you. It takes this Clipper, if you will, and does something here on the coast and suggests we are going to get a little bit of coastal storm interaction here the first of next week. I am not going to stop looking at it, but it is something to keep an eye on. And that northwest flow continues. Let's talk about the snow, though, farther to the south and east. This is the area, if you are tuning in today, that you care about, as that snow is picking up. Again, this is the NAM model. I truly appreciate the NAM when it comes to forecasting precipitation types. Some light snow is falling across parts of Kentucky today. That snow will start to get heavier here as it moves into Virginia and West Virginia. I believe, even though you may not be under advisories, you should watch this part of Kentucky and Virginia and southern West Virginia for some snow. And then, as that system moves east, some of that snow banding could get rather heavy here into central Virginia. So we will see about that. Up towards Washington, D.C., it is going to be very difficult to get the snow up here. But there could be some snow that starts to pick up as we head into Friday morning. That could cause some problems too. Here, it does not take much snow. I have seen major traffic incidents with just half an inch of snow that gets compacted at the right time, at the right temperature, and it might be falling at that point in time as well. Then this system moves east. Now down into North Carolina, I think if you look very closely here, especially for places like Greensboro and back to Winston-Salem, some of the snow may be starting off as a little bit of rain, maybe switching to freezing rain, and then possibly ending as some snow. I am trying to pull up the map and get into North Carolina a little bit closer for you here. There we go. So up towards Mount Airy, I believe it is mostly snow. You have a pretty decent elevation change here. So I think you are all snow up here into Virginia along the Blue Ridge. But once you get down into the Piedmont region, that is correct. So we are talking about Winston-Salem. For Greensboro right here, the NAM model has you starting off as rain. If you get just a little bit to the west of Winston-Salem, it is snow, over to maybe some mix, and then to rain. So it is a very tight gradient here. I think there is going to be a good potential for some surprises across this area, where there will be snow and then just plain rain or barely anything. But once you get up into Virginia, that snow chance starts to increase, especially even along these counties here, along the North Carolina-Virginia line. There is a decent chance of that snow, and then as it moves into the tidewater, again, Virginia Beach here, Norfolk, Hampton Roads, look at this. The NAM model tries to turn Hampton Roads over to snow. Do not let your guard down on this just yet. If you are watching from Williamsburg along the peninsula or Richmond, I think we are all looking at snow. If you go north of that up to Charlottesville, it will be all snow. And up into Washington, D.C., snow there as well. Into Maryland, though, the situation is that most of this precipitation will be just to your south. You can see that on the map. But there will be a chance of some accumulating snow. It does not look like a lot. Washington, D.C. is here. Baltimore is here. Some of that precipitation is trying to creep up into Baltimore and then into Delaware, down the Delmarva Peninsula. Some snow is possible. Even the eastern shore of Virginia could see some snow once you get a little bit farther north. And then into New Jersey, the extreme northern parts. In the southern portion of New Jersey, we could see a little bit of snow trying to mix in, and then that system will be a thing of the past as we move into Friday evening. Now, let's take a broader look at the national picture. We've discussed what is happening in the mid-Atlantic, and we are also tracking more snow moving into the Great Lakes with that next system, which is bringing some cold air with it. And that system will then move into Ontario. So, a little more snow is on the way for us as we head into Saturday. Regarding the projected snow totals from the National Digital Forecast Database, they appear to be quite low. I do believe these forecasts might be underestimating the situation just a bit, while some other computer models may be a little heavy on their estimates. However, we are still seeing a couple of inches of snow showing up across Virginia. Farther north toward Washington, D.C., the forecast is calling for just half an inch of snow. I would advise keeping a close watch on this area, especially in Virginia, where there could be localized amounts of 2, 3, or even 4 inches of snow, simply because some of the data is suggesting that possibility. Meanwhile, some lighter snow is expected back to the west across Texas and Oklahoma today. We are specifically talking about the Panhandle regions, not areas like Dallas. Now, turning our attention further east, this is the new run from the European model. All right, let's zoom in for a closer look at Virginia and the Mid-Atlantic region. Again, I showed you those totals of a half inch, and the European model is quite similar for the Washington, D.C. area, but it indicates slightly higher amounts down toward Richmond. It is beginning to show some of that snow banding, which is a development we will need to keep an eye on. For our viewers north in Virginia, such as in Winchester, I do see you in the live chat. For anyone just joining our live stream, you can always rewind, or if you prefer, you can go back and watch the recording at any time. Across the western states, the snow is going to intensify in the Wasatch Range. That also includes the northern Rockies. Take a look at the snow here in the Wasatch. It could really start to accumulate again, with possibly more than a foot of snow, especially as you get up in elevation near the ski areas towards Park City. And then as you get into Colorado, we could see more than a foot of snow there as well in the highest elevations. Further to the north, that snow will be flying into Idaho and Montana, and it is expected to become heavy over the next couple of days. Some areas, especially in the highest elevations of Utah and Montana, could receive 2 to 3 feet of snow, particularly above 6,000 feet. Significant snowfall is on the way for this part of the country over the next couple of days and into next week. Furthermore, it is going to continue to snow across British Columbia and Alberta. Let's examine the forecast through this Saturday. We may see a little snow falling out toward Edmonton and Calgary, while back toward Vancouver, it will be entirely too warm for snow. But up in the mountains, the accumulations will really begin to increase, particularly in the Canadian Rockies and along the coastal ranges of British Columbia. I want to advance this forecast map because these projected totals are quite remarkable. This forecast model is pushing all the way out to the 12th and the 13th of the month. The numbers are simply astonishing. It is showing 129 inches, and I can hardly believe this. 194 inches are even showing up here in Washington's Cascade Mountains. We also see several feet of snow forecast for the Canadian Rockies and the Northern Rockies of the United States. And this pattern brings snow not just to the Northwest Territories, but even down into the prairies. I believe there is a great deal of snow on the way with this pattern change that we are seeing. Let's zoom in a little closer here and time out some of this precipitation as we work our way across the country. There is the snow that will be falling as we head into Friday and also into Saturday, which then starts to move eastward as our Clipper system gets going. However, we are going to keep the snow going back here in the mountains with some continuing snow showers. There will be a bit of a break across Utah and Colorado, but more snow is moving into the Pacific Northwest. It is going to be too warm for snow in Portland and Seattle, but if you get up into the Cascades, that snow could start to get heavy as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday. This extends up into British Columbia and the Canadian Rockies, including Banff and Lake Louise. We are expecting significant snow here, but not as much down toward Calgary and on the downwind side of the mountains. You can see how the activity is all concentrated within this higher region. That pattern continues through Thursday and Friday, and that is when it becomes truly active with this onshore flow. A great deal of moisture will be moving in, producing a lot of snow. Now, let's take a look at your temperatures for today. Starting farther east, there goes our light rain and light snow moving off to the east through Tennessee and Kentucky today. A little bit of light snow is also falling across the Dakotas, as well as into parts of Wisconsin and Minnesota, as another reinforcing shot of cold air starts to move in. Then, here comes the heavier snow on Saturday, beginning to track to the east, which could bring some snow into Nebraska and South Dakota. It is uncertain if we will see it in Pierre, but there is definitely a chance. There is a chance for some snow. As this system tries to slide to the east, it will begin to weaken some, but there is going to be some snow, I believe, along the southern Minnesota and Iowa border, and perhaps into Chicago once again as we head into this weekend. And then that system pushes east as another cold blast of air moves in. A little bit of lake effect could develop, and it is going to be interesting to watch this unfold. Notice where this high-pressure system is located. The European model is trying to produce a band of lake effect snow down toward Chicago, coming off of Lake Michigan. We will have to see if that materializes. And then we do it all over again with another Clipper system. And another one after that. Goodness gracious, what a busy pattern. Look how cold it is today. These will be your high temperatures, barely getting into the single digits in teens. The low temperatures tonight will be in and near, or even below, 0. You can notice the white shading on the map, which is what that indicates. Then, as we head into tomorrow, it may warm up a little bit. We will be at least into the 20s in some areas. Texas will be a little cool as well, with highs in the 60s. We will be back into the 70s, though, across Texas and Louisiana as we head into Saturday, just before another blast of cold air moves south, which will keep your temperatures cold. And my goodness, it is going to be even colder as we look toward the Great Lakes, moving through the weekend and into the first part of next week. Farther to the east, we have talked a lot about this, but there will be some snow showers also into the northeast. Here comes that system moving through Virginia and West Virginia into the mid-Atlantic. Again, it is not moving very far to the north into Pennsylvania and the rest of New Jersey or into New York. Then comes more snow from that weak system moving through southern Ontario. There will be a little bit of rain across the south as well, and that is really just going to linger here in southern Georgia and Florida. After that, the next Clipper system arrives from the west. Here is a look at your temperatures. It will be cold today and cold tonight across the northeast. Temperatures will be well below 0 in the interior areas that have some fresh snow on the ground. It is certainly a great start to the ski season across the northeast. You cannot argue with that. There is plenty of snow on the ground, and it is going to stick around, with highs heading into Friday, barely getting into the teens. It is also quite cold in the Ohio Valley, with highs in the 20s. It will be a little bit warmer heading into Saturday, and Sunday may also be a little warmer the farther south you go, but it will be staying cold across the Ohio Valley in Columbus and Indianapolis. It will be chilly here, so please get ready because it is not going to warm up. Another cold blast is on the way. Winter has effectively started. I know some of you may not be seeing the snow you had hoped for, but I want to go back and reflect, because when these patterns lock in, they are quite persistent. You may recall we were talking about this cold air gripping much of the central and northern areas and into the northeast as we head into December. We were looking at that possibility around the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, or the 13th of November. It was somewhere around that time frame, maybe even a little before that, and we observed that sudden stratospheric warming event happening right around Thanksgiving. It did happen, and folks, this is the resulting cold. The interesting thing is, there is another sudden stratospheric warming event anticipated in the coming weeks. We may get a rebound in temperatures, but I believe there is more cold like this on the way. Winter is just getting started. Officially, the winter season has not yet begun. Meteorological winter is here, having started on December 1st, but the official start to winter is still a few weeks away. But it is certainly starting strong. This could be a sign of a challenging winter ahead. All right, that is all I have for you right now. I'll see you next time.